Howdy folks, this is Pioneer Pat. We're going to take a dive into the Superfluid contracts. Let's go check it out. So the first thing we want to do is set up a resolver. And what that's doing is it's going to basically get this nice, easy place to find all the contracts for the protocol. You could probably skip this if you want. If you want to just jump ahead and get the addresses directly, you can do that. But this is a nice way so that we can understand where these addresses are coming from. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a module, and we're going to use this module as an easy way to get the contracts for the protocol quickly. And so it's going to have three inputs. The first input is going to be our blockchain. The second input is going to be the address for the resolver itself. And then the third input is going to be our version number for the contracts. And so once we have those three, we can create a contract object and wire those up. The address is the resolver address. And the version is going to actually come later. And so to get the ABI for the resolver contract, I'm just going to go to the preview repo that's listed in the tutorials. And I'm going to grab the ABI for that real quick. And we are going to paste that right in here. And this is very simple. You'll see there's only a couple methods. So we have events, get, and set, and so we want get. And in order to get the version for a contract, because there's a couple of contracts, we need to specify the contract name and the version. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go to the SDK that's also in the repo. And I see here that in order to get the address for Superfluid, we call resolver.get, we pass superfluid.the version number. And so that's where I'm going to get the text in order to form the argument here for this get method. And so we are going to do, we're going to do a string combine, and so it's the name of the contract combined with the version, and the output of that is going to be here. We are going to call that, and the resulting value we are going to output, and we're going to call that SF because it's just the base protocol contracts. Okay, so now if we back out, I think we should be ready. So let's go back out. All right. So for our blockchain, I've got some an Infura. I've got an Infura URL that we're going to use to connect to Goerli network. The resolver address is also going to be a text input, and so is the version as well. All right, so how do we get the resolver address? Well, let's go back to the repo, go back to the js-stk, and then we'll go into the get config file, and we see that here there's a nice handy helper that if you pass the Goerli network, it's going to automatically pull this address. So that's the resolver address. And then in the tutorials, all the tutorials right now use the same version, and so you can find that there as well. When we instantiate the SDK, we're essentially passing that version number, which is doing the same thing that we're doing right now via eth.build. And I'm going to pass the version number, and then we should get an output as, there we go. So that's the address for the Superfluid protocol deployed on Goerli, using the version number, preview, and all this. So if we wanted to add the remaining ones, what we'll do is we will just take this and duplicate it and drag it down here and duplicate it again, because we're going to do this for two different types of agreements. And so the agreements are the way that the protocol moves funds around. And so the first one is the instant distribution agreement. I'm sorry, the first one is a constant flow agreement, and this is just like sending funds in a stream constantly, so hence the constant flow. And the third one is instant distribution. Sorry, the second one is instant distribution agreement. Okay, so we're going to go over those agreements later on. So let's rename these for now. We'll say this is CFA for constant flow agreement, and then this is IDA for instant distribution agreement. And if we back out, oh no, let's try this again. Let's delete these. All right, we're going to call this one CFA. And once we're done with this, then we'll have a very handy module going forward playing with the contracts. And it'll make things a lot easier. And like I said, this is all basically done in the SDK. So if you're building a dApp, you're not going to have to obviously play here. This is done for you, but this is kind of showing what's going on behind the scenes. All right, well, so it kind of messed up. It didn't get the other output. I'm not really sure what went wrong here. And also we're missing, oh yeah, we gotta wire these up. These get methods have to be wired up. All right, so there we go. So now it's working. We lost the Superfluid protocol contract, but we have the two distribution agreements in here. And so it should be enough to get you started working with the resolver. And so now that we know these, we can pass the ABI and create the contracts as needed. So if we want to make a constant flow, we can interact with the constant flow agreement. And if we want to make an instant distribution, et cetera, et cetera. So you get the idea. Let's jump over in the next video to actually using these agreements and setting up a flow.